Welcome to Sekou Style. This is your man Sekou Kessley here. Today we're gonna be talking about how can Africa take advantage of the chaos that's going on around the world and become better. Put her interest first. How? Right? Now, before we get into the discussion, please, if you're new to this channel, do me a favor, just subscribe. Type in, subscribe to my channel, I like to have this one-on-one conversation. And also when you subscribe, make some comments, man. Let's make this interactive. Let's have a good time, all right? This is for you and I. This is our channel, man. Make it yours too. All right, guys, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you for all the old members, and thank you for, liking, commenting, sharing this video. What we're gonna do, let's talk about how Africa could take advantage of the chaos going on. How can Africa take advantage? I know you wanna know, but before we go into how can Africa take advantage, I wanna give you a little bit of history and then get here, because I know it's possible. Changes happens most of the time when there's chaos, when there's a lot of confusion, when we think everything is falling apart. This is when changes happen. And we know it's possible for Africa to change. And we believe in Africa, and we know that the new leaders, especially the youth, gonna take it to the next level. So let's talk about how is that possible, right? All right, now let's do a little bit of history lesson here. When you look at World War I, then a lot of Africa, only two countries in Africa were not colonized, right? Liberia and Ethiopia. Only two countries in Africa then were not colonized, right? All the other African countries were colonized. But what happened after World War I? Africans, because they fought with the European, their colonizers, they saw them being killed and everything. They're like, these colonizers are no better than us, And then they started building that momentum. Some Africans started going to Western schools and started learning their philosophy and started adapting to the system slowly. And we started seeing this changes. People started, pushing back a little bit. When it comes to the colonizers, started pushing them back, like, we need some space. Further, World War II happened. When World War II happened, people are like, these colonizers, they are just human beings just like us, and they're not that civilized after all. They're killing each other. They're using us to go kill their brothers and sisters. So what we gonna do? Well, let's ask for independence. We need ourselves to govern ourselves. And we started seeing the proliferation of independent movement. We started seeing places like Ghana, the Congo, Guinea, Mali, all these other countries started asking for their colonizers to give them independent, right? They wanted to be free. And that freedom movement in the 60s in Africa started blowing up. But again, this happened after a major event, right? Or when there's chaos, people start coming together and forming and then pushing after that chaos to get what they want. So now we talk about two. Now the third one, recently, we started saying, actually after independence, we started saying the Cold War, right? When there was two superpowers, right? The USSR and the United States. Guess what happened? The United States started aligning with some African countries, putting in place dictators in place so that they could maintain this capitalist society. The USSR also started working with some African countries to do what? Preserve communism, socialism, or whatever the form is, right? And then, although the US won, or capitalism as we know it won, technically, but we started also seeing some African countries that decided to be neutral, right? Non-alignment. They didn't align with other countries, but we saw what happened to those countries, right? They all end up going to the US. Now, let's see what's happening now. Now, after we just gone from World War I, World War II, we are in a Cold War era. The Cold War is over. 9/11 happened. I'm just shooting major events here, right? People are aligned with the US, sympathize with the US, of course. And now what's happening? The global meltdown happened in 2008. We saw how it didn't impact Africa as people thought it would have, because Africa, of course, was mostly trading with China now, and Chinese were involved in Africa, Russians were coming in, everybody else was involved in Africa. So, the US, the West got hit hard, but Africa really didn't get hit as hard as we thought it would have been. Fast forward to today, right? Now we're seeing what's happening. The West is pretty much in a chaotic situation, right? Saudi Arabia is playing hard to get with the United States, playing hardball game, oil, we're seeing inflation numbers that we've never seen in like 40 years in the US, and we're seeing like Russia is in war with her neighbors in Ukraine, there's bombarding each other there. So we're seeing all these international politics playing out. China wants to go into Taiwan. China and Russia wants to come together and create their own currency that's gonna rival against the dollar. We're seeing the dollar has been stronger than it's never been like in a while. We're seeing the pound drop right now as I record this. The UK Prime Minister just resigned her post after just less than a month or a couple of days in office. So we see a lot of stuff happening, right? And we're seeing that the winter is coming. Russia is cutting off, probably might cut off the natural gas that is used to give to Europe because of the tension and the sanctions that are happening due to the war in Ukraine. Now, how can Africa take advantage of all this to make another stride like we did after World War II and during the Cold War, to make another stride? But the Cold War, the mistake that we made, we tried to align with people and then we didn't really take advantage. But how can we take advantage now to make a stride to go further, right? That's what I want to discuss now. If you're still here, thank you for staying tuned. Now, how Africa could take advantage is really, I look at 4 main ways Africa could take advantage right now as we speak, right? It's international politics. First come first, Africans need to organize. We need to be organized. Organize. We need to organize in a way that, we come together. Not unity yet, but we have to organize first. Organize for our things, our priorities together. First come first. Put things that we care about. We organize around those things, right? We have differences. Africa is one huge continent with different people, different ideology, different stuff, but we have to organize around our common teams, things that really we as Africans could be able to be proud of. Organize. Number 2, what Africa needs to do is unity. Since the African Union, the AU, or Organization of African Union, right? It was founded during the 60s. Again, keep in mind, during the 60s, Kwame Nkrumah and all these great leaders were talking about African unity, one Africa, but then Africans, we decided to go 2-way. We had the Morovia group, we have the Morocco group. The Morovia group ended up succeeding in the way that Africa never had the unity that Kwame Nkrumah and other Pan-Africanists really strive for. So now that we don't have that unity, it is the time to start unifying Africa as one. It's time to start doing that push. So because now our colonizer and people who are distracting us, they are busy among themselves trying to look for power. We should be busy doing what? Unifying ourselves, putting our natural resources and our human capitals together, right? Now, unity is number 2, definitely. Number 3 is what? We have to mobilize. When you unify, you mobilize. We have to mobilize as Africans, mobilize coming together, use our strength, mobilize all our resources, mobilize the human capital, mobilize the youth, educate their minds, make them free, right? Do really mobilization across the continent. The diaspora, invite some of us who are in the diaspora, invite people in, people who have the mind to sit down and start putting things together, mobilize the African resources so Africa could have what it takes to confront the new reality, right? Now, after we mobilize, that's number 3, right? We are mobilized now. Number 4, what do? We go for partners. Not only the traditional partners that we've been dealing with, we go for partners who will treat us fairly, who we could be able to have fair relationship with. We create new friends, right? Because the globe is small, it's a global village now, right? Because technology and everything, no one could do it on their own. So Africa, what we need to do now is really, when we mobilize, we unify, we come together, what we do, we look for good friends, we look for partners, we start working on the continent, right? Through this 4-step, we'll be able to what? Innovate. Because innovation comes naturally after we do these things. Because when you mobilize your human capacity, you mobilize the resources, people will start thinking innovative ways how to solve our problems. So right now, it's a perfect time while these guys are busy playing politics. We need to be busy unifying, organizing, mobilizing, and forging new alliances with people who actually value us, right? We have other countries like Singapore, Malaysia, all these other places there are so many other countries that have broke this yoke of colonial power that we could emulate, bring them on board and try to use what they have learned to try to go to the next level. But this cannot be done again without African leaders really trying to think the way they need to think. And with our discussion, we're gonna save that for another time. African leaders, we need to wake up. The young people are waking up. Now I see a lot of good comments on the on YouTube, Facebook, and all social media. By the way, you need to start following us on our Facebook page, Sekou Style as well. And you need to, share this video so we could start mobilizing the youth, man. This is our time. This is Africa time. This is time for us to wake up. We need to take advantage of the chaos that's happening. We have always have. Change comes when there's chaos. People are thinking now there's gonna be a nuclear war. People are thinking the globe gonna go crazy. Russia is waiting. The United States is waiting. Everybody anticipating. China wants to do what they want to do. This is our time for African leaders to use this to their advantage. African government to use this to their advantage to do what? Organize, unify, mobilize, and forge good allies. Bring together and fight for what is theirs, right? Innovate. Think outside of the box that you have been put in, right? Let's fight again. This is our independent 2.0. We're going to the next level. Country like France needs to stop being banned that's coming to Africa. It's our time, right? We cannot do that if we are not unified. We cannot do that if we don't have, we cannot unify ourselves behind the African the Africa Agenda 2060. And that agenda can only be improved or taken seriously when African leaders really do take it seriously and make it happen. And priority, first come first, we need to do what? Organize, unify, mobilize, find good allies so we could do innovative ways to solve our problem as African. Thank you so much for listening. This is your boy on Sekou Style. Truly love chit-chatting with you guys. Hey, please follow the channel if you're new. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting. Peace and love.